Hi all. Today we're going to be talking about the immigration industrial complex. Um, I hope that everybody here saw at the beginning of the semester documentary 13. And if you have not done so yet, please watch it. We had an assignment at the beginning of the semester for that documentary because it is very extremely important. And what we're going to see here with the immigration industrial complex is going to be a similar story to the documentary, but we're going to go in depth about how immigrants have been criminalized in order to create an immigration industrial complex. We have already talked throughout the semester the criminalization of immigrants. Um, the United States government has passed a series of laws which have criminalized immigrants through history, but more so since the 1970s. The first law that criminalized immigrants in the United States was the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882. More recently, there have been an anti-Latino sentiment, which has led to a number of punitive policies which have criminalized Latino immigrants in particular. So there were a series of events which justify enforcing the border, in particular the southern border, throughout the years. As in the documentary 13, the President Nixon's declaration of a war on drugs in the 1970s was one reason. As we have talked about it before, the 1986 Immigration Reform and Control Act, which included the employer sanctions and the reinforcement of the border. As we have learned, the border was there was an increase in the militarization of the border since 1993 due to ERCA. And then the North America Free Trade Agreement, and the Oklahoma City and the World Trade Center terrorist attacks in the 1990s, and mostly the 9/11 terrorist attack of 2001. All of these events have combined to expose the U.S.-Mexico border region to unprecedented scrutiny. As a result, a mass of federal and state initiatives have taken criminalization of immigrants to stratospheric levels. In the past few years, the most important law that has criminalized immigrants was passed by President Bill Clinton, who is a Democrat, in 1996, which is the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act, which created a series of provisions which criminalized undocumented immigrants even further than they were criminalized before. So it gave, for example, the INS, which was in charge of immigration at the time, it was called the Immigration and Naturalization Service Office, and then later it came the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security after 2001. It gave the INS the power to arrest, detain, and deport unauthorized immigrants while significantly curtailing and, in certain circumstances, eliminating immigrant rights to appeal the decision. This law also significantly expanded the definition of criminal grounds for removal from the U.S. to include crimes that might have been classified as misdemeanors in the state court. This law IRERA also authorized the construction of a 14-mile fence along the U.S.-Mexico border. It doubled the size of the Border Patrol agents. I'm sorry for the misspelling there. Allow for summary exclusion of immigrants. For example, immigration officials were granted the authority to summary deport individuals apprehended within 100 miles of the border. It prohibits legal immigrants from receiving federal welfare provisions for the first 5 years of their U.S. residence. It also allows for the revocation of the green cards due to any criminal offense, which could have been even a minor offense. IRERA also require family members for the first time to sign an affidavit to sponsor a family members. They have to sign it in support and maintain support for the applicant at an end of an annual income of no less than 125% of the federal poverty guideline for 10 years, which was about $20,000. Be held liable for the sponsored immigrant, the federal government, and any state or any other entity that provides means tested public support to this person, and or also be liable to be when the person was under the control of any federal or state court. IRERA, in addition, it used to be that immigration was only handled by the federal government, but IRERA, for the first time, it made it possible for also local enforcement agencies to participate in immigration enforcement. For example, what it did with the 287G provision of the parts of the 1986 IRERA, it authorized immigration officials to sign a memorandum of understanding, MOA, with local or state officials that designated officers to perform the duties of immigration agents. Agents could make immigration arrests on behalf of federal authorities and enable officers to racially profile the immigrants as well. And as explained in the articles provided, there were a lot of other issues that were passed by IRERA and other laws, and there were a lot of other ways that immigrants got criminalized. These are just some of the bigger things that were, in these. And don't forget also that immigrants, for example, if they marry somebody, they were banned from the country for 10 years if they had entered the country without inspection, and so on and so forth. So there were a huge number of items that criminalized immigrants. So one of the most important ways that immigrants were criminalized was through the Patriot Act. And this was in particular affected immigrants from the Middle East. So after 9/11, former President George W. Bush signed the Patriot Act law into effect, which stands for Patriot Act. It stands for Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism. So it increased the budget for immigration enforcement significantly and tripled the number of Border Patrol agents in the northern border. This law also expanded the government's ability to detain and deport terrorists. So the way the Patriot Act works is that it basically takes away the Miranda rights of the immigrants And so the immigrants, and they have, it is allowed not to have a probable cause to detain them. Okay, so anybody can be detained, and they can be held, arrested in arrest. And for example, the United States was using Guantanamo Bay to hold these Middle Eastern immigrants, and there was nothing the immigrants could do to defend themselves or anything. So a total violation of rights. But they used as a excuse that they were trying to protect the United States from terrorists. So there were probably a lot of innocent people arrested and detained and kept without being able to, go to court or defend themselves or anything, and without probable cause. So the Pristine Industrial Complex is a derivative of the military-industrial complex as conceived by President Eisenhower in his 1961 farewell address. Dr. Galash-Posa, which I asked you to read her article, which was published before in 2009, and then Douglas and Science published their article in 2013. And Galash-Posa defines the military-industrial complex as that it reflects the close relationship between the corporate elite, the bureaucrats, and politicians, as these actors work together to ensure that the state military investment serves the interests of capital. This military-industrial complex emerged as is sustained by the element of fear and the profits gained by corporate, governmental, and military actors. Galash-Posa also argued that it isolated three defining features: a rhetoric of fear, the confluence of powerful interests, and a discourse of otherization, to making the other, like we talked before about the moral entrepreneurs creating moral panics and that kind of thing. So in other words, we could argue that in order to create the prison industrial complex, these moral entrepreneurs were creating moral panics to criminalize the immigrants, but they were also creating these laws to criminalize the immigrants. And like we saw in documentary 13, the people in like the jails were full of people at the time, and there were a particular number of laws created, like 3 strikes you're out and that kind of thing, to put more people in jail. Okay. So from the article on page 2010, it says analysis linking the prison system to military industrial complex began to emerge in the 1980s. Scholar Mike Davis described the context in which California established the prison industrial complex. California has the third largest penal system in the world, following China and the United States as a whole. 125,842 prisoners at last official count. Over the past decade, the state has built Calipatria, located 220 miles southeast of LA, and 15 other new prisons at a cost of $10 billion $10 billion, with the interest included. An emergent prison industrial complex increasingly rivals agribusiness as the dominant force in the life of rural California and competes with land developers as the chief producers of legislators in Sacramento. It has become a monster that threatens to overpower the board, its creators, and its uncontrollable growth ought to rattle national consciousness, now complacent at the through a permanent vision class. So Golosh was sort of like argues that this prison industrial complex now has been become also an immigration industrial complex, which because the way that immigrants have been criminalized, and then there are companies that have been trying to make profits off of these immigrants, and politicians trying to gain power off of these, affiliations with these companies. So the article talks about these corporations and how their stock, for example, went up. So it says, as anticipated from the aftermath of 9/11, we can see that right after 9/11, the stock went up. Figure 1 provides the stock market values of CA and GEO stock in the January opening for each year between 2001 and 2012. The stock value of each corporation experienced significant gains between 2001 and 2008. Indeed, the value of CCA stock soared 11-fold from 2,501 in 2001 to 28.55 in 2008. While that the GEO stock climbed 8-fold from 3.293 in 2001 to 27.3 in 2008. So we can see how these companies were building prisons. These are the private companies that were building the prisons. Their stock went up. And the reason it probably went down was because of the recession that we can see, how they continue to make money. Then on figure 2 shows, this graphic shows the CCA's lobbying expenditures between 1998 and 2001. These expenditures nearly doubled the year-to-year during the 2001 and 2004 period. By 2005, CCA spent $7 in lobbying for each $1 that it spent in 2001. Okay, so we can see, these in the graphic, these effects. And then for figures, and then Alex, going back a little bit, Alex also supported the passing of the controversial SB 1070 legislation in most recent example, which was the anti-immigrant legislation that was trying to arrest immigrants. And then the figure 4. This is figure 3. Okay, then figure 3. We can clearly see the impact of IRERA in 1996, as well as the change of policy from catch and release to catch and detain in 2006. For example, the average number of detainees more than doubled from 1996 to 2001. while the average has increased by approximately 72% between 2006 and 2011. The average number of detainees has surpassed 30,000 each year since 2009, as you can see. And then finally, figure 4. Okay, then finally, figure 4, it says the growth trends surrounding the 2006 policy change are also attributable to the significant increase in arrests from ICE website rate, which shown in this figure. The number of persons arrested for criminal violations, employer contractors, and managers who hire undocumented workers who use fraudulent documents to find employment, and immigrants charged with identity theft increased more than fivefold from 176 in 2005 to 1,103 in 2008. Okay. So how do these corporations make money? So they make money through deportation, for example. In order to do deportations, you need arrest facilities, you need agents to arrest the people, you need planes to deport the people. So these airline companies are making a lot of money out of these deportations. In terms of arrest and putting people in prison, they put the immigrants in these prisons, and so the prisons make the government agree to a particular quotas of beds that they're going to fill up. And so these laws, like the SB 170 and all of these laws, will create more arrests of immigrants, and then of course, that the immigrants are going to fill this bed. So it is important to keep in mind that these immigrants are not necessarily criminals, that we are going to need to spend the tax money dollars on them. This is, a way to create, to criminalize the immigrants. And another way to do that is by not legalizing them. So if they're undocumented, then there is a way to arrest them and deport them, and for all these companies to be making money. In the prisons, they also have food contracts and telephone calls. For example, they charge people to make a call. So those companies are making a lot of money. The people that clean, I mean, we can go on and on in the way that they can make money off of this immigrants. They also have the ankle bracelets that, for example, they put them on the immigrants and then they charge $400, and the immigrants have to pay them. But the immigrants cannot work because they are undocumented in the country, so their family members end up paying them $400 a month for this ankle bracelet. So this is like a money-making machine, okay? In addition, the border enforcement, we have already discussed in the previous chapter how the border doesn't work, but these companies continue to build pieces of the fence, making millions of dollars per mile. And they also, we have to pay out of this money salary for the increased number of border agents that they put. And then the companies also sell drones, for example, and other technological advanced equipment. And for a lot of more details about how this, immigration industrial complex works, it's important to watch the videos provided on the module. Okay? And this is it. Thank you so much.